It's another session, the Ultimate School of English, and today we're going to look at crafting language, that is Unit 3. This paper is also called writing, and of course, as you might have heard, or you might have been discussed in a different forum, here is where you write, you craft, you compose a text, based on some parameters that you'll be given. You will get a table like the one being seen there, where you'll be given a genre. In this case, this is a magazine article, and then you have to come up with an audience. You must come up with a purpose, you must come up with a context. Now, what is the formatting of the question? Like, for example, you say, using the text in the source booklet, write a magazine article about the positive and life-changing impact of organized sports worldwide. Remember, we have what we call the stimulus text that you'll be given in the source booklets, and then these are the materials that you have to actually refer to when you're recreating, when you are composing, when you are crafting this genre. The text could come in different genres, but here the examiner is actually testing your skill, of whether you can recreate a text to suit this, and then whether you are able to apply and observe the conventions, to apply the rules, the tenets of a magazine article. So here they are, they require you must use the information in the source booklet to create your article. So it's a must. So here the model auxiliary verb here, must, actually shows imperativeness. You may include additional material from your own knowledge and experience. So here you have to choose your own audience. Remember, the genre is what you'll always be given. For example, you can be given is a magazine article, is a talk, is a speech, and therefore come up with your audience. Who is your primary audience? Who is your secondary audience? Who is your tertiary audience? The purpose of the text, is it to entertain, to inform, to persuade, to advise, to explain? And of course, what is the context here? The context here is guided by the materials that you actually do have. And now, what are you supposed to do when you are actually looking at this? For example, we get here like text A of this paper. Actually, the topic is about sports. So the following texts all deal with the topic of sports, exploring the international appeal of sports along with the personal experiences of those who play them. Text A is an edited article from the online version of a British newspaper explaining the rising popularity of the sport of cricket in Germany. Then here, British expert leads unexpected risks rise of cricket in Germany with the help of Afghan refugees. That is a text on source, that is text A. And then what text B is an edited press release from the website of a charity that is Walk the Walk, that fundraises for research into breast cancer and supports those living with cancer. So Dragon Boss help those affected by breast cancer, so it talks about that. And then do we have another text? Yes, we do. Edited information about a travel destination from the website of an international travel app. How did baseball become so popular in Japan? Now, this, we call them stimulus texts. And these stimulus texts, of course, you can see they've come in different genres. And here we have now to test you on how you can actually amalgamate or bring all those together to give us what we call an article. It is an article. Yeah, there we go, a magazine article. Having created your personal audience, independent audience, the purpose and the context. Then after this, ladies and gentlemen, after you've done this, you have to, what is the question? The question here of section A, the question here of section A is actually to, use the information in the source booklet to create your article. I would have reworded this like, okay, done it in a different wording, like, okay, use this and then create your own article. And then, okay, after you've created your own article, we do what? You are told you have created your own article, and then there we go. Write a commentary on your new text. So remember, this one actually marries with unit 1 of your paper. In Unit 1, you are given a text. You are given a set of text, actually 2 texts. And then the only work that you're told to do was to analyze in terms of contextual factors, to analyze in terms of language framework, and of course any socio-cultural, ideas that you'll come across. But here you have crafted the text, and hence the name of the text, the name of the paper, crafting language. You have crafted it, and after crafting it, you now need to analyze the text and tell us how you have written the way you have. Of course, the areas of analysis are those contextual factors as usual, and of course, language frameworks. Now, there's a danger here where students, they think now because they have been told, the candidates, they think they have been told to craft their text, therefore they take the shortest route of creating a haphazard text, creating a text that is not comprehensive. I want to submit to you that, when you create a comprehensive text, you are actually doing a good service to yourself, because the text will have good content whereby it will give you a good platform to look at the mode, to look at the field, to look at the audience that you yourself have created, to tell us about the purpose, to tell us about maybe the relationship between the audience, you, and the speaker, you, or the creator, you, or the author, you, and your intended audience. It also gives us a good platform to talk about the lexis, that's the vocabulary and the diction that you have used and why you have used it, and the meaning that you needed to bring out, that is the semantics. And of course, make sure that, because if the content is good, is well enough, if the content is actually generous, it will also allow for varied structural sentences in terms of syntax. And of course, allow also you to manipulate, to play around with the language, to bring out the grammar that is needed, and also incorporate things like graphology. Have you used, let's say, capital letters or block letters? Have you underlined some letters? Have you written some other colors, different colors to bring out different points? So those are some of the things that you'll also have to talk to us and tell us why you did that. Discuss how have you structured your text. If it's a speech, for example, does it follow the convention of a speech? Do we have the salutation, recognition of those present in order of hierarchy? What is the body of your letter, of your speech talking about, and how do you conclude? So you tell us about that. Have you included the pragmatics? Have you included some of the theories that you need to? Have you discussed some of them? The paralinguistic features or the prosodics, if available, or whether you have used. Now, once you have done that, and then of course, then you will be done with your paper that is crafting a language. Now, just to take us through across some what you are needed, just a mark scheme of what you are needed to do. You look at some of the areas that the examiner will be looking at. So, for example, here we go. In now question number 1, whereby you are creating an original text for yourself, and then which will form the basis of your analysis. So you're supposed to produce an original magazine articles for this case in a style and register suitable for the chosen audience. So who is your audience? Is it a mature audience? Is it an informed audience? Is it a mixed audience? What is the purpose and the context under which you are talking about? You must actually also demonstrate expertise and creativity in the use of English and in the use of stimulus text. Like, how do you refer to the stimulus text? How do you judiciously and in a discriminating manner use the materials from the stimulus text to recreate in English? Don't give us Spanish, don't give us Japanese, use English language. Now here you are supposed to, because you've been told to do a magazine article, so what are the conventions of a magazine article? How does a magazine article look like? One, the use, you have to apply the use of convention of the genre. That's the type of the writing that you are doing. Now, of course, we've said that predominantly standard English, lexis, and grammar. So use the vocabulary and the lexicon and the diction that conforms to standard English. Then can I be able to see proper punctuation? Is there appropriate lexical fields? Because you are talking about field of sports. So am I able to hear, you mention lexical and semantical field of sports? Use of discourse markers to signpost the reader. Yes, so let us see whether you are moving from one point to another using the appropriate discourse markers. Do we have effective grammatical transitions between paragraphs? Are you struggling to transit from one paragraph to another, or there's a seamless one? So these are some of the things that the examiner need to see. Language to create relationship with the audience. So how do you convey with your audience? And of course, how are the guys come in here? Are you able to, is it upward convergence? Is it downward convergence? Is it a mutual convergence? Reshaping of the, now have you demonstrated proper reshaping of material from source text to techniques such as judicious selection? Do you select judiciously, or you just select everything wholesomely? Do you have appropriate quotation, or you're quoting everything? So please avoid the danger of over quoting and quoting the whole thing, but paraphrase your new material so that it becomes very, very engaging. Now you have created that. Now, question number 2, that is section B of that question, is now for you to analyze. So here, you as a candidate, you are expected to produce an analytical commentary that evaluates the language, that actually evaluates critically in a very, what I would call forensic way, looks at why you chose the language that you did in the production of the text in question 1. Now, your points that you mentioned will be supported by the evidence selected from the source text, and you as the candidate's original writing is appropriate. So please demonstrate understanding of language concepts, yes, and issues relevant to the task, applying appropriate terminology to the. So apply proper linguistic terminologies. Now, we need to see you please comment on the mode, comment on the method of communication. If the magazine article is a written, isn't it? Is a written mode magazine article, right? Then what is the field? That is the subject matter. It's the field of organized sport, field of sport reaching wider international audience, field of the social, global, and political impact of sports, field of personal achievement and well-being. So the field, I take it like the themes, like what is it that your text is actually talking about. Have the main field and also the subsidiary field, the secondary field. So anything that your text is talking about from the start to the end, those ones are actually the subject matters which you can comment about. And remember, you are not just tied to commenting on one field, you can comment on multiplicity of the field. And then, of course, you are not writing purposeless. There's a function, there's a purpose where you are writing. And say, are you writing to inform? Are you writing to educate? Are you writing to persuade? Are you writing to provide an insight, information, etc., etc.? Please tell us the function, in line with this, and also, of course, Halliday's Michael Halliday theory of language and all that. Then, of course, you have your target audience. So, who is your target audience? Is it students or school children, readers of women's glossy magazine, people with an interest possibly? So you must also tell us, after you've recreated your text, you must also tell us who is your primary audience. For example, if it's a speech, the speech is actually given to the people who are there, who should be the ready consumers of what you're saying. And then, of course, because if it's being televised, people just interested in a topic that you are actually talking about, or people who, if you are someone that people follow, people who are actually interested in what you do, and people who just want to know what's going on in that field. The content, that is the issues of production and reception. So how can you show us how you use historical, social, and cultural concepts to shape your text? So are there social cultural factors that affect the way you are reasoning? Now, how the text consists to written context, like does it follow the precepts of written context? Now, and how the issues of audience and purpose shape the text. This is under pragmatics also, and it flops over there. Then, of course, we have the discourse, the shape of the text, and the communication and the meaning that come out of that. So how a sense of connection between the writer and the audience is created, how rhetorical techniques are used to engage the audience, how the generic conventions of a magazine article have shaped the structure of and the sequence of the text, how the source text have been reshaped to meet so you have to reshape the source text or the stimulus text to meet the new style that you have been told to do. How the experience and the knowledge of the audience have been taken into account So you look at all that, and of course other language frameworks and other language areas like graphology, how appropriate rhetorical devices are used, the layout, it is a magazine, do we have a title, do we have a subtitle, the headings and all that. So we also need to see that. Then of course, as I said, have you applied the conventions? Have you applied the structure? Have you used the structure? Have you brought it out structurally the way an article should be brought out, or the way a speech should be brought out? Grammar and syntax, how grammatical convention of written language have been used to shape the article, how sentence structures have been used to fulfill the purpose of the article and target the chosen audience, how the language of the source materials has been adapted to meet the requirement of the task, how techniques such as direct address have been used to engage the audience, how syntax have been made have a rhetorical function, employing features such as tripling, listing, repetition, parallel syntax, contrasting pairs, rhetorical questions, etc. And then how tense has been varied to manage historical and current perspective. In terms of lexis and semantics, how the lexis from the source text has been adapted or incorporated into the magazine article and why, or whatever genre that you are doing. How techniques such as imagery, semantic figure, and alteration have been deployed to fulfill the purpose of the text. How subject-specific lexis such as subject-specific, like the vocabulary that related to the topic that you are talking about, how have they been integrated into the text? How an appropriate register, diction and the tone have been established and sustained throughout. So basically, in an introductory part, you see this is actually what, in a summary, in a crystallized summary, this is actually what you guys, as a candidate and someone who is willing actually to perform better, you have to look at this as a preamble. Of course, we shall be delving much now, maybe through a walkthrough paper in depth, so that you are able to understand these things further. But remember, in a nutshell, the way you approach this is the way you approach unit 1 of your paper. But in this case, you personalize. You tell us how, and the use of personal pronouns such as I use this, the mode of my text is, so you personalize this and you take ownership, and you tell us, now this one I used maybe high frequency lexis because I wanted to converge with my audience, or I used low frequency lexis because some of my audience were professionals, etc. So you justify, you evaluate, you give us a critical analysis of what this text that you have created is all about, and how it has converged in contextual and also language frameworks to bring out a very rich text. So for that, we look forward to a deeper edition of this. Remember to hit that button, subscribe, and let's keep working in the ultimate school of English. Thank you. Right. So